Coming up on the Flatland Sports Podcast, the Red Raiders absolutely thumped the Utah Utes. We'll be giving out position group grades, also the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Big 12 weekend, and more.
And now, what is this?
I know you're gonna dig this.
This is the Flatland Sports Podcast.
Where do you come from? Lubbock, Texas?
Lubbock, Texas.
A place called Lubbock.
I wonder if they think I'm so gorgeous back in Lubbock.
What do you care about Lubbock? You're big time now.
I'm just a little homesick, that's all.
Is that what you want, Larry, to spend the night in Lubbock, Texas at a day's end with a $15 voucher from Cinnabon?
Lubbock? No, it's near Lubbock.
What's it like there?
It's flat, real flat. You stand on a coffee can, you can see Colorado.
Happy Monday from across the Great Plains of West Texas. This is the Flatland Sports Podcast, free and available worldwide on YouTube. Lots to talk about today. It is a victory Monday for the Red Raiders as the number 17 Texas Tech moves on to 4-0, 1-0 in Big 12 play after a 34-10 win over the number 16 Utah Utes. Will Hammond coming in for the injured Baron Morton in the first half. Lots of discussion being had regarding whether or not Hammond should be QB1. My answer on that, absolutely not, if Morton is healthy and ready to go. Not to take away at all from what Will Hammond did last week. He looked really, really good. However, the story of the game to me was that Texas Tech's defense outlasted the Utah defense. In a low-scoring game like what we had last Saturday, it really comes down to whose defense blinks first. And this game was won, in my opinion, because Texas Tech's depth allowed the defense to stay fresh despite the elevation, despite how long and how often they were on the field. When it was all said and done, you wore down the Utah defense and outlasted them. Now, don't take that to mean that I'm taking anything away from Hammond's performance. He was incredible. He executed Mac Leftwich's offense to perfection. Questions I would have, though, if we're having the conversation about whether or not Hammond has earned a starting role here, the questions I would have would be how much of that performance was Utah's defense wearing down in the fourth quarter, and also how much of it was Utah having very minimal prep for Will Hammond. It's a whole different game when teams have time to prep for you. I didn't see anything from Morton as well to suggest that he still isn't QB1. There are some people I saw on social media who are trying to suggest that Baron Morton just didn't play very good. And yes, but the offense as a whole didn't play very good. I think you were rattled by the Utah fans and the crowd. They had a fantastic crowd in Salt Lake City. I think a lot had to do with your offensive line and how many pre-snap penalties there were. But from Baron Morton himself, I didn't see anything in the game. I thought he played fine right until he took that first hit to the head, and he wasn't the same after that. He threw two interceptions. One of them ripped out of the receiver's hands, Coy Eakin's hands, as he was crossing the goal line. The other deflected off the receiver. That one was after he took the hit. He looked clearly concussed after the first hit, not the same, struggling to see down the field. This isn't a Baron Morton issue. This was an injury issue. This was he may have a concussion kind of an issue. You could tell the sunlight was really getting to him. He was blinking really hard. But again, I before that and up until that moment, I saw absolutely no reason to think that Baron Morton wasn't going to be able to win this game. We are blessed with two great quarterbacks, and Will Hammond is clearly the quarterback of the future. I believe, though, he could benefit from another year behind Baron Morton. I think Texas Tech, more than anything, needs to have and deserves to have one quarterback with experience, a veteran quarterback like Baron Morton, play an entire season before we start thinking about putting in the backup. Lots to discuss on the show today. We will pass out position group grades. Also, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and more. But first, Red Raiders in action as Texas Tech Soccer picked up their first Big 12 win last Friday with a 1-0 victory over the Baylor Bears. Peyton Parsons with the game-winning penalty kick. Red Raiders will return home for a match against the Houston Cougars this Thursday at 7. You can watch the action on ESPN+. And, of course, Texas Tech football returned from Salt Lake City with a statement win over the Utah Utes last Saturday. First win in a ranked versus ranked matchup since Texas Tech defeated the number 8 Oklahoma State Cowboys in 2008. Also, the first ranked versus ranked win on the road since you defeated number 19 Kansas that same year. The win put the entire country on notice, with Texas Tech rising to number 12 in the AP poll. This is the highest ranking for Texas Tech since earning a number 10 ranking in week 8 of the 2013 season. Now, that was Cliff Kingsbury's first year as head coach. That was the year that you started the season 7-0 and ended up finishing 0-5. This is a much different team, a much different roster, and a much different coaching staff, as well as a much different Big 12 than that year in 2013. Texas Tech will head into a much needed bye week before traveling to Houston to take on the Houston Cougars. But now it's time to award the only critiques that matter. Texas fans will try to talk to you about the Learfield Directors Cup. Some will talk about meaningless awards such as the Heisman and the Blitnikoff. None come close to the notoriety and prestige that is the official Flatland Sports weekly position group grades. Now, starting with the quarterbacks, Baron Morton and Will Hammond, you both get a collective A. Baron Morton, 12 for 19, 142 yards. Now, he had 0 touchdowns. He did put together a touchdown drive at the very beginning of the game that was ultimately punched in by Cam Dickey, threw 2 interceptions before exiting the game with a head injury. One interception being deflected off the hands of a receiver, the other being ripped out of the arms of Coy Eakin. After he goes out for an injury, Will Hammond takes over. He is 13 for 16, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, led Texas Tech to a 24-point fourth quarter to put Utah away. It was a group project. Will Hammond's performance alone is enough for the A. Like I said before, Baron Morton, I thought did just fine. I didn't see anything before his injury to suggest that he wasn't up for it. So quarterbacks, you get an A. Running backs, giving you a solid B. The running game had trouble gaining momentum against a tough Utah defense, but in my opinion, still did enough to win the game. Cam Dickey had 13 carries, 67 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including a key one at the very end. That and the one at the end, go watch that one too. Just an absolutely impressive effort by Cam Dickey as he gets hit at the line of scrimmage by about 4 players, goes under a pile, comes out the other end, and runs 24 yards for a touchdown. Also improved in the pass protection game, Jacoby Williams, 11 carries, 43 yards. He had a few catches as well. Utah did a great job of shutting down Jacoby Williams, though. He was not able to get as much going as he had in previous games. Wide receivers, you get a C. Reggie Virgil made some great catches, including a fantastic touchdown at the end of the game. Terrence Carter also had a touchdown. He was seven catches, 49 yards, and a touchdown. Reggie Virgil, by the way, 6 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. Jacoby Williams had 2 catches for 71 yards. Caleb Douglas, 4 catches for 68 yards. Coy Eakin, 3 catches, 31 yards. Should have had a touchdown on there as well, but it was just an absolutely impressive effort by Utah. They ripped the ball out of his arms in the end zone as he was coming down with the ball. You get the C wide receivers due to the 2 interceptions. The one ripped out of Coy Eakin's arms in the end zone, the other deflected off another receiver. Ultimately, you did enough to win the game, though, especially in the fourth quarter. Offensive line, you get a D. Probably the worst outing we've seen from this offensive line all season. And the reason for that, 11 penalties that killed multiple drives, most of them pre-snap penalties. Morton took a hit off a blown assignment by the left tackle. I can't remember what his name was. Ultimately, that knocked him out for several plays due to a missed block. Ultimately, though, the offensive line unit got it together in the second half, but has a lot to work on as we move into the bye week. And of course, the defense. I grade the defense on pass fail. This one, absolutely a pass. And if I'm giving you a letter grade, A plus 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 plus. This is the best defense that Texas Tech has had since the Spike Dykes era. There is no doubt about it. Held Utah to 10 total points, 3 points in the first half. The Red Raider defense kept the Utah offense from crossing the 50-yard line for almost the entire first half. When they did cross the 50-yard line, it was on a third down play that resulted in a punt. They made it to the Texas Tech 48. Kept pressure on all game despite the altitude, despite how much time was spent on the field. They did not blink first. Made Devin Dampier just look silly. I mean, absolutely silly as he was throwing passes to nobody with wide open receivers. A plus Shieldwood had a reputation for doing more with less as a defensive coordinator. Now he's got more and he's doing more with it. I mean, absolutely incredible effort. Texas Tech, if you win a national, well, let me try not to get ahead of myself. If you win a Big 12 championship, if you make it to the college football playoff, and if you put it all together and win a national championship this year, it is behind the backs of this incredible defense. Special teams, the kickers, A plus. Stone Harrington, 2 for 2, nailed a 58-yarder to put Texas Tech up early in the first half. And that one looked like it had some juice. He could have gotten that from 60-plus yards. The punter, Jack Burgess, A, just as effective as the defense, able to consistently pin Utah deep within their own 20-yard line on their side of the field. The combination of Jack Burgess with this defense is going to win Tech more games than anything else on this roster. Kick returns, punt returns, I'm giving you both an A. Nobody did anything stupid. You fielded everything correctly. A in my book. I've been saying all year that this team is different, and you just put it on display in a big way in front of a national audience. The country seems to have taken notice. They've given you a top 12 ranking in the AP poll. As I said in a previous show, just an absolute garbage organization, the Associated Press. Very, very biased towards the big brands, very, very biased against teams in the Big 12 and against teams like Texas Tech. And yet they see you now, and now is the time to do something with it. It's time now to take a look around the Big 12 with the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good of the week, UCF picking up a road win over Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels. UCF still considered one of the worst teams in the Big 12, and yet they keep winning. They are currently 3-0. They just beat a Power 5 opponent. I don't know if it's going to last as we get into Big 12 play, but 34-9 over North Carolina. Now, again, it's Bill Belichick. The Bill Belichick hire at North Carolina is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, and it is going to continue to produce similar results as the season goes along for North Carolina. Just retire, man. Bill Belichick, he's done. I think we saw very clearly in New England that it was primarily Tom Brady who put it all together. The girlfriend is weird. The situation is weird. This is the last time I'm going to talk about it because I don't think any Big 12 team plays North Carolina again. But it's going to be, and it already is, an absolute disaster in Chapel Hill. TCU on the good column, winning the final Iron Skillet matchup for the foreseeable future. Now, I'll also put a snippet of that in the ugly column, as TCU, I believe, was the primary driver behind ending the TCU SMU series. And anytime you lose a Southwest Conference rivalry, it is just an absolute shame. But TCU improves to 3-0. Another dark horse candidate for the Big 12 conference title. If you're asking me right now, Texas Tech, TCU, Iowa State, and then possibly BYU, I would tell you it's a tie between BYU and Arizona State right now as the four teams that are strongly in contention for the Big 12 championship game. Arizona State also in the good column as they walked off Baylor with a last-second field goal win. And then one more thing I want to throw into the good column, Utah fans. You shocked me. I was surprised. The interactions leading up to the game were fun. The stadium atmosphere was great. That you showed up, you were loud. The false starts that Texas Tech had, 11 pre-snap penalties, all of that completely because they were rattled and because they couldn't hear what was going on the field. So well done, Utah fans. You turned me around. I based my interactions with a couple fan accounts that were not great, and shame on me for judging a book by the cover there. So well done, Utah fans. Now moving on to the bad Baylor. This fan base just feels broken right now at 2-2. They can't get anybody to show up for the Baylor line. They thought this might be their year. They may do just enough to keep Aranda's job with a 7-5 record, but it's not looking good for the Baylor Bears in Waco. They were going into the season a dark horse candidate for a potential Big 12 title, and I think you never know. Baylor could get better over the year. They could be one of those teams that sneaks their way in, kind of like Oklahoma State did a couple years ago when they got in with a 9-3 record against and then played Texas in the Big 12 championship game. I just don't think so. West Virginia blown out by Kansas. I don't think they're going to win another game this year. I hope not, because the only other game that they would win would be some crazy, sneaky, out of nowhere upset at the end of the year, which they've got Texas Tech at home for the final game of the season. So West Virginia, I think you're going to be good under Rich Rodriguez. It's just not going to happen this year. You've got too many injuries. The ugly, there is one entry for the ugly column, and that is Oklahoma State. They lost 19-12 to Tulsa on Friday. There are fans who are calling for Mike Gundy to be fired. I think he's done. I called time of death on Friday after that game. I called time of death before that game was over because at that point, I don't think it mattered if Oklahoma State was going to come back to win. Oklahoma State is 1-2 for the season, and I'm officially going to call it. I don't think we'll see anything until the season is over, just out of respect for what Mike Gundy did. But the Mike Gundy era is over at Oklahoma State. It's time to start looking for a new head coach. Ultimately, though, Oklahoma State's problem is they ran out of Boone Pickens money at the worst possible time as the NIL era begins in college football. And I want to touch on that as well. Oklahoma State fans, don't feel bad. Don't feel like there's anything wrong. Now you're in for, it could be a bad decade coming up. Who knows when the ship will get turned back around again. But T. Boone Pickens came in at the absolute right time for you all, invested in all the right ways. I mean, just look at what Boone Pickens Stadium became from the beginning of the 2000s all the way until now, from being essentially a little kind of a high school looking stadium to one of the premier stadiums in college football and one of the premier facilities in college football. Oklahoma State, under Mike Gundy, turned the ship around. They were one of the worst teams in the Big 12 and one of the worst teams coming out of the Big 8, and absolutely turned the ship around. Multiple 10-win seasons, multiple 9-win seasons. Should have had a chance to play for a national championship in 2011 and got absolutely hosed by the BCS after just an unfortunate game against Iowa State and Ames, where they were upset the day after a horrific tragedy where they lost their women's basketball coach and a few other staffers in an airplane crash the day before. So Oklahoma State fans, hold your head up. You have nothing but pride. You have nothing to be ashamed of here. It's every run comes to an end at some point, and yours is over. I'm sure Oklahoma State will be back. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for taking the time today. We'll be back a week from Thursday to preview the Houston Cougars. I'll be taking a little bit of a break for the bye week. Please take a moment to like and subscribe on the channel. It helps the algorithm, supports the channel, supports Flatland Sports. I am Chris Johnson for Flatland Sports. Thank you so much for joining me, and Wreck and Tech.